Welcome in to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, live here from the UDL. Presented by Go Chevrolet, online GEAUX Chevrolet.com. Get in touch. Lee Carney, Nick Richard, the entire crew over there at Go Chevrolet. LaPlace, Louisiana is where you find the brand new car lot. If you're looking for the used car lot, stop in and see them right here in Baton Rouge on Florida Boulevard and Sherwood Forest. Talked to Lee yesterday. Great selection over there at Go Express Auto Sales. All of that is online at Go Chevrolet at GEAUXChevrolet.com. Queen of Carpool is here this morning.
No
Katie is here.
Today.
Wow, all right. Tuesday. Lloyd is here, back there, fidgeting with the cameras. The two bros are over at school, so they say here on that Tuesday.
Losers.
Right.
Suck it, nerds.
I mean, just the syllabus this week, right?
Good God.
What are we doing going to the first week?
I don't get it. I don't get
Especially in a COVID world.
I know.
Oof.
Just do online.
Yeah, I'd have
Zoom
I'd have definitely
Noah
been
never got to go to campus and experience that go
Noah
to class. No, because
Okay,
last
well,
year
then
it was a
you know what?
COVID year.
Maybe so. Maybe
So now he's getting that experience. I don't know how long it'll
one
last.
reason to go to campus, and
There
that's why
is.
Noah's out there.
That
was the time, my friend.
Wait, why? What's the reason?
Women, the girls.
Oh.
the quad and the union.
Yes.
Yes. Aren't you supposed to be in class? Well, sure I am.
What schedule are you? What's your major?
Absolutely I am. We're going to talk to Jay Cicero. He is the president of the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. He'll be here at 7:30. They've got a great auction that is sold out. He'll tell us about some of the special events coming up in the Big Easy over the next couple of sports seasons, like the Final Four for the NCAA. The Super Bowl will be back here in a couple of seasons. College football playoff will be here back in New Orleans. So Cicero and his foundation are in charge of bringing that to South Louisiana. We will talk to him about some of the special things they have going on over there in the foundation. Drawing is coming up here in a week.
It's Friday, I think,
wow.
right? The 27th.
Wow, is it already August 27th?
I want to win that thing so bad,
Me
y'all.
too, man. That would be fantastic. We got a couple of dogs in the fight. We'll see.
Do.
We'll see.
We do.
It seems like it would be a little uncouth if we won, right?
Does it?
I mean, we're promoting it. I'm sure somebody would throw a flag on the play.
That's fine. They can do that. We'll take the winnings, though.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, for
All
sure.
right, I'm in.
8 o'clock, Jake Crain of the J-Boy Show
Ah.
will be here talking SEC football. We'll get the latest from Crain as he is tied in tight to the Auburn football program. Coach Brian Harsin dealing with a little bit of COVID issues over the last couple of days as he's been moved out of the facility. He's now gone mobile. We'll talk to Crain about how that affects War Eagle and their preparation. And here it is now game week for college football. Crain will have a big announcement coming up later today that he will start to preview a little bit here on the Jordy Culotta Show. So we'll talk some SEC football coming up with Crain at 8 o'clock this morning. Hopefully some other guests will fall through here over the next 2 hours. And then come back with us today. At some point we will post, but we're going to have a conversation with Ben Bolch of the Los Angeles Times, who covers UCLA. He's the beat writer out there in Los Angeles and covers the Bruins and has for the LA Times for the past couple of seasons. We'll talk to Bolch about some of the storylines for LSU UCLA. We'll talk to him about the capacity of the Rose Bowl, about UCLA officials handing out free tickets to Southern California high school kids, trying to combat the LSU faithful that is making their way west.
That's definitely what it is, right?
It's just absolutely.
They're terrified.
100%.
Imagine that ticket office in their request. They're
Yes.
like, oh my God, that's all from the 318 area code.
They are coming out here.
They're coming.
We're going to have to do
They know.
something. And they're all asking about alcohol sales. They're all asking about what the protocols are. They're all asking about how many tickets can they buy. I mean, they're scaring all the locals off. You know, all those feather-footed Los Angeles.
Los Angelites.
Yes.
Los Angelians.
Just none of them are vaccinated is what they're thinking. They're all coming out
Drunk
of here.
and unvaxxed.
They're going to be drunk. They're not going to be wearing their masks. They're not going to be vaccinated. They're going to be totally just out of control. We're not going to the game. We're going to just sit at home. They're all going to watch UCLA and Hawaii this weekend.
They're all showing up in fan boats and just coming across the Pacific coast. And here's LSU. Here we are. And they went to the lowest ring of the ladder. It's like, well, give free tickets to high school kids.
Yes,
Like,
send the high school kids.
LSU won't influence them at all. You won't have any problem with that. Like, you ever had Whiskey Boy?
Yeah, right. Y'all drink during y'all's games? Oh, no.
No, we microdose.
Come over here, bud.
I'll do that too.
Yeah, right. What is that?
I'll take it.
Yeah. So it's going to be out of control in
It's
Pasadena.
out of control.
It's going to be wild.
They're
in
panicking.
UCLA. Yeah, they are. They are panicking. I think that was the first sign of the panic button being smashed by the UCLA administration. Like, what are we going to do? I mean, who would do anything? I guess high school kids, right? Just go give them free tickets.
It's a Saturday. They
Why
got nothing
not?
to do.
Just go dump tickets off at every high school in Southern California and tell them to come to the UCLA LSU game.
It's going to be awesome if they just get the worst influence of their lives. That just ruined a bunch of high school kids. It's like, I remember when LSU came to town in
Be an influx of
2021.
transfers from UCLA to LSU.
You're never going to that stadium again, son.
LSU, first day of class yesterday, so no training camp for the Tigers. They're back out on the practice field in the afternoons. We will talk a little bit about the preview, but we will dive in to UCLA after today's show, obviously with the time zone. We're going to let Ben Bolch sleep in a little bit out in the West Coast, and we'll get his thoughts here at 10 a.m. Our time, and we'll post that at some point today to get an in-depth look at UCLA as the Tigers and Bruins here just over a week away, while UCLA will take the field this weekend versus Hawaii in the Rose Bowl. So we'll talk to Bolch a little bit about what he expects from UCLA here in Chip Kelly's fourth season. This is a make-or-break year for Chip Kelly.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. I mean, I think that this – I mean, they're making a ton of money, first and foremost. And UCLA has reputably not been a program that pays their head coach a ton of money. Chip Kelly, really kind of broke the bank by getting that UCLA job. And the wins and losses just has not come back like I'd imagine that UCLA administration would have figured in paying him that contract. They have not won a non-conference football game under his direction. I mean, they're 0-7, a bad 0-7.
Yeah.
But they've never been good. I mean, who was their last coach? Jim Mora Jr.? Like, this is as good as UCLA football, it seems, as they can be. I feel like it hasn't been like a failure.
Well, they've been good in programs past. I mean, like if you want to go back to like Troy Aikman and Terry Donahue. I mean,
I don't.
But
way back.
USC stole a lot of their thunder in Southern California and in Los Angeles during the 2000s when USC was, they were the face of of college football for a while, and I definitely think there's enough players in that part of the country to be successful, especially in that city, to fill out a competitive football team. Then you started to see the emergence of Oregon under Chip Kelly and the money behind them with Nike and Phil Knight. Arizona State over the last couple of years. Now they're in trouble. Looks like they're going to be in some trouble under Herm Edwards. But
by whom? Who's going to get him in trouble?
Like we'll see. But they have started to come on as of late in the Pac-12. But I definitely think there is a spot once you have it figured out in Westwood to be competitive in football. I mean, it's not, in my opinion, just a basketball school, because if you've ever been out there and you've ever seen the campus, I mean, first and foremost, you're recruiting to a paradise. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're recruiting to a legitimate advantage as far as what you have to offer over everybody else. I mean, the campus is one of the finest I've ever seen outside of the Southeast. I mean,
it has to be one of the most visited schools by 5 stars and 4 stars. We're like, well, I'll go to UCLA. Like, I'll go check it out. I'll go hang in Brentwood for a weekend.
Yeah.
And with a guy like Chip Kelly, I mean, think about the reputation that Chip Kelly has in football. I mean, it's not like we scoff at this guy and his creativity, his offensive play calling, and his success that he's had at the college level. So, I mean, I definitely think there's a little bit of pressure on UCLA and Chip Kelly to win now, with the amount of money that they're making, the reputation that he has, the recruiting fertile ground that he is in. I definitely think that there's pressure. We'll ask Bolch coming up here today what his thoughts are on that. But I think it's fairly clear that, I mean, UCLA is in a mode under Chip Kelly that the time is now. I mean, especially where there's not an ownership in Los Angeles by a college football team. I mean, UCLA's still kind of fumbling and bumbling their way and trying to figure out. I mean, it looks like they've had a couple of bright spots, but for consistency, I mean, they're still not there. They're not back where they were. They're not, the brand and the name that they were under Pete Carroll with, the amount of players and wins that they were pumping out during that, 2000s run.
It was unprecedented.
So I think that the city is up for grabs, and Chip Kelly, in my opinion, there is no more excuses. I mean, like, as far as name brands go, he's more recognizable than Clay Helton.
Oh, without a doubt. But that's what I'm saying. Like, what do you think? What does UCLA think their ceiling is? Do they think they're trying to vie to be a perennial power? Obviously, because like you said, nobody has wrangled the Pac-12 really, unless you're talking about Oregon. That's the best team in the Pac-12 year in, year out. But if you're UCLA, like, what would put Chip Kelly on the hot seat? Like, if he goes, I imagine if he wins 8 games a year, they're happy.
Mm-hmm.
Probably so, but I mean, you need a marquee win this season. They need a non-conference, out-of-conference win. They need a big conference win. They need something that you can hang your hat on if you're UCLA.
Well, I hope it's not LSU.
Well, I mean, I guarantee you that's the one that they have circled.
I'm sure.
I mean, that's the one that they would recruit towards. If you remember, the Clemson turnaround under Dabo Swinney really started gaining steam in that 2013 Chick-fil-A Bowl when they beat LSU.
LSU waved the white flag at halftime. They were dominating.
Well, I mean,
they were dominating Clemson, and then they just kind of snuck back. They kind of Taj Boyd just kind of let a little comeback, but
or
LSU
Les Miles went Les Miles.
Yeah, that could be it too. But
I mean,
LSU was the far dominant team in that game.
If you remember, I believe it was the first or second play out of half. Jeremy Hill goes 70 yards. They just hand it to him. He runs a stretch to the right side. Nobody touches him, and he may have touched the ball like 3 more times the rest of the game. I mean, it just. Typical.
Yes. Well, I went out right after that play. We were in New Orleans. And I was like, all right, time to hit that. Because it was like a New Year. It was like a New Year's Day bowl.
It was.
Or Eve.
Yeah.
And like, all right, time to hit the town. And I checked my phone and I was like, are you shitting me right now? They're about to lose this football game. I got to stop watching. Yeah. But yeah, this is gonna last.
Leslie goes Leslie. So I mean, we'll talk to Ben Bolch about UCLA game day guidelines, what the protocol is going to be, what he expects, how nervous is the city of Los Angeles knowing that the state of Louisiana is like in transit. I mean, they're headed your way, bros. What's it going to be? Here comes a ton of purple and gold after a year and a half of no partying, no football games, nothing. This is the trip they've circled. They want all your tickets. They want all your alcohol. They want it all, bro. They want it all.
But if there's anybody that can intimidate like a California team, it's only Louisiana people.
Absolutely.
Because those
100%.
kids
100%.
are as confident as they come. Like they're all skateboarding or doing like riding waves and not going to class. Like,
they are.
They're 28 when they're 14, but it takes a certain breed of like Louisiana to be like, get out of here, dude.
Sit down, son.
Yeah,
it's a different
watch
vibe
this.
there,
right.
for sure.
So I think the army that UCLA is trying to send in may not work.
Daily, our coffee is brought to you by Majestic Brews. Remember, online at delicioussips.com. Our water is provided by True Blue Water. That is TRU, bluewater.com. We just refilled our 5-gallon drum. You can get on the on the list if you'd like today online at truebluewater.com on the delivery route. That's what I was trying to think of. And our phone line sponsor is Metropolitan Health Group, Real Doctors, Real Solutions, Charlie Harvey and Jason Ramazan. Speaking of UCLA, Mr. Fun and Jason Ramazan's trip is sold out. No more. Yep, sold it out.
That's awesome.
No more spots available. Heading out to Los Angeles, as that'll be flying out, I believe, a week from Thursday.
That's the tip of the spear.
What's that?
That flight is the tip of the spear for UCLA. Once that touches down a little early on a Thursday,
it's over.
I can't even imagine what that flight's going to be like.
Just a flood of purple and gold into 90210. I mean, just
why are y'all here 3 days early?
Well, we've actually been here for 5 days. Just kind of been making our way up from Mexico. Got a pocket full of party ready for the next 4 days, bros. Right.
What's the spread?
Jay Cicero is going to 4. You know what looks like a lock is the under.
You think so? See, I've been going back and forth with this.
What's the number?
I think it's 70 and a half.
Yeah, I saw 69.
Yeah, nice.
Right.
69.
Go under.
I think, yes, somebody has to. But I think that's the new wave of college football is the amount of points that are scored. Like, what do you think that the score would be? I'd imagine if LSU doesn't score 35, they're going to lose.
I just say first game of the season, in my opinion, that's always kind of an easy bet, it seems like, because teams are trying to figure it out. Now, UCLA will have a game under their belt. And you would think offensively with Chip Kelly and the offensive linemen that they have returning and DTR, their quarterback, coming back, that they would be offensively efficient in the second game of the season. But 70 points just looks like a ton of points on paper.
Well, yeah.
Right? I mean, doesn't it just
yes.
for game one or like week one, that just seems like a ton of. And I'm almost betting more on LSU's defense than anybody else on the team. I mean, the unit that I feel most confident about going into that game after, if you want to talk about special teams matchups, offense, defense, offense, both teams, is LSU's defense. Now, we'll see what UCLA looks like offensively this weekend, but I can not imagine that they are prepared to block guys like Ali Gay and B.J. Ojolari and Joe Evans and Jaquelin Roy. I mean, all these cats that are going to be coming at you in waves, a week from Saturday. I just think that LSU is better on that side of the ball than UCLA is on offense. And I know that UCLA's offensive line is really kind of the strong suit of the team. I mean, they returned their top 7 offensive linemen from last season. That's a good place to be.
Yeah, that is.
But still in that same vein, I mean,
it's Pac-12 versus
meet
SEC.
Ali Gay.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, meet B.J. Ojolari, meet Andre Anthony. I mean, these cats, you haven't put your hands on them. You have not blocked anybody like this, especially that they're fresh. It's week 1 for them. They're all amped up. I mean, LSU's making the trip out to Los Angeles on Thursday next week as well. So they'll be a little bit better adjusted to the time zone and everything that's kind of going on in and around the game. So,
yeah, I would imagine that a lot of like what this over-under is, if it's at 70, which, I feel like you're right, because I feel like Vegas is going a lot off of what LSU did last year. Like, their defense was putrid.
Yes.
So I don't know if they have the same pulse we have on how much has changed with the LSU, not only defense, but just the culture around the program. So you might be onto something here, Jordy.
I mean, I hate
to bet an under the first week.
I do too. I mean, an under is such a stressful bet in just watching a game. Anything that happens, anytime a team crosses the 50, you're like, oh, give me a turnover. Fumble it right here.
I'm rooting for special teams.
Just play in between the 30s.
What a punt.
Just play in between the 30s, for God's sakes.
Don't go for it.
It just feels like a lot of points. We'll get more back into the UCLA LSU stuff coming up here with Jake Crain, J-Boy, coming up at 8 o'clock this morning. Jay Cicero, president of the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation, will be here telling us about some of the more exciting things coming to the city over the next couple of sports seasons. But real quick, before we get to Jay, and remember, every single day we're brought to you by RMB Builders, Rhett Bourgeois and his crew over at RMB. You can find them online at rmb-builders.com. All of our podcasts here on the Jordy Culotta Show are brought to you by RMB Construction. If you need a total overhaul, if you want to build a custom-made house, if you need a rebuild, a remodel, if you just need handiwork, get in touch with Rhett and his crew at rmb-builders.com. rmb-builders.com with Rhett Bourgeois and his crew.
We gotta get some pictures posted of your remodel.
Yes.
To show everybody.
Yeah, we do. Love the bathroom. Last night, New Orleans Saints versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. Couple of thoughts just to start off. First and foremost, I was very impressed with Trevor Lawrence.
I was not as impressed with Trevor Lawrence as you were.
Things that we have to consider when we're evaluating Trevor Lawrence is that he is dropping back behind 3 rookie offensive linemen, a bad offensive line in Jacksonville. If I was a Jacksonville fan or a Jacksonville executive member on that for the Jag, I would have my throat would be my heart would be in my throat every time Lawrence dropped back, because he took some shots last night, man. I mean, the scramble on third down, that was on his own volition now. I mean, he's got to learn to go down. You hate to see him take that shot in the preseason, but you love to see the effort. And then, I mean, he got hit pretty good by Davenport on that rolling out left. Now, as far as the skill set goes, I mean, that cat has got a live arm. You know, I mean, I know this is the number 1 pick, and that's not too good of analysis, but I mean, a couple of times where him staying alive, shuffling his feet, moving the pocket, rolling, kind of moving to his left and pushing the ball down the field was pretty impressive. I will say this about the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. It feels like Les Miles. I mean, it feels archaic, bro. I mean, that feels very, very old school NFL and not doing any favors for the number 1 pick. I mean, Urban Meyer was always considered very forward-thinking in college football. I mean, that was kind of his deal, being the first to run that style of offense that he created over it. Not created, but brought to the college football scene at Bowling Green. Carried over to Utah, went to Florida, brought it up to Ohio State. I mean, had a lot of success with the offense he was running at the college level. His offense in the NFL looks like, dinosaurs.
Yeah, he seemed very frustrated last
He was
night.
very
He was a
frustrated.
lot
I
of
love the
this.
GIFs that come out on Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Every time something just goes bad, one instant of bad, you go to Twitter and everybody's got the fake passing out and fake feigning that Meyer did at Florida and at Ohio State. I forgot that he did it at Ohio State too.
Yeah, that's his card.
I forgot that he did that.
Not only that, but then you have him eating the Papa John's pizza in the golf cart by himself. It's like, that's the lowest of lows. You take an L, then you have to get one of those personal pan pizzas from Papa John's. Like, they gave this to everybody.
I
Like,
forgot that he did it in
bag.
Columbus. I forgot that he did. I remember when he first got that taste of Saban in the SEC title game. I believe it was in 2010. He started oh God, I gotta get out of here, man. I got a Fred Sanford kind of heart attack. Like, this is the big one. I mean, he got but the GIFs on Meyer in the NFL. I mean, as soon as something goes bad, go to Twitter, go to social media. Everybody's got him like on all fours on the sidelines, asking his assistant to hold his headset. I mean, it's great.
I do have what are we doing with Darrell Bevell here?
That's what I'm saying.
Like, what? Why?
Darrell Bevell was Brett Favre's offensive coordinator in Minnesota. I mean, like,
20 years.
I mean, that guy, think about how long ago that was.
That is a long time.
And that's the offense he's running. He's doing the exact
are you
same
kidding
thing.
me? Urban Meyer.
Right.
Like, you're going to get the number 1 pick, come to the NFL with your reputation, and hire Darrell Bevell?
We're going to run the Maryland Eye?
I mean, what are we doing, man? But, look, that's just on Jacksonville. They got some issues there. They're going to have to clean that up. As far as the Saints go, his quarterback competition is a joke.
It's over.
Is it over? Has it even started? Like,
That means I lost.
Is this close? What are we looking at? I mean, Jameis Winston is so much more of a professional quarterback than Taysom Hill is. I mean, just the way he walks. I mean, like, forget the passes that he made to Callaway last night. I mean, Winston last night, 9 of 10. Moved the ball down the field. I forgot what it looked like to see the ball pushed down the field in the black and gold uniform. I mean, I'm not here to dump on Breeze. And Breeze he's prolific, he's efficient, he's accurate, and he was great to watch over the last 15 seasons. I forgot what it looked like to push the ball down the field. I mean, and it wasn't like Winston was blowing the top off the defense last time. I mean, he was just putting it up like 40 yards in the air.
We just take a shot. Like, we were kind of talking about this before the show started, and we haven't seen, when you look back at the Drew Brees offense, how many times he would look and you'd feel like, all right, this is a shot play, and then he would check it down. Like, you could see that he wanted to make that move. He's like, I can't do it.
Well, his mind is telling him, you can't do this.
Right. Or his mind was also telling him, like, this is open, and then it would tell him again, wait, you can't make that throw. His body would tell him, you can't make that throw. And so you would see the check down. Jameis is back there.
I know.
Wheeling and dealing,
Can you play that 43-yard?
Hell no.
To Callaway?
Yeah,
you can't
no,
play
we'll
that.
be zapped.
Yeah, Roger Goodell.
Can't do anything.
But
we'd have to give him a Go Chevrolet truck.
and just spark him up. But when you think about it, Jameis, what he did last night, he's also very capable of doing the exact opposite. Then that's the risk you take when you push the ball down the field.
I understand that, but I think that the advantage of being under Breeze and Peyton the last year, having the offseason, I got to imagine there's some conversations within that building that lets Jameis Winston know that he's the better guy. I just, whether it's the tone that they coach him up with when they're in film room, or some private conversations that he and Sean Payton or him and the offensive staff have had. Because to me, it's night and day. I mean, like, it's not even close.
I know, but I still don't feel like he's there yet. Like,
Who?
I don't. Sean Payton. I don't feel like.
No, I think Peyton's doing Taysom Hill. I think he's doing him a solid. I think he's doing him a favor. I think that's the same thing he did to him last year when Breeze went down, and it was almost like he never even considered Jameis Winston to be the starter. I mean, he named Taysom Hill like on a Tuesday.
Yeah, it is
that he was
going to
name that he was, and it was almost like however much. Like, he knew that Breeze was going to come back and he was going to get him back last season and that they were going to have their quarterback back. You know, I think he was kind of operating under the mentality of
weather the storm, let's get Drew back.
Yeah, just get Drew back and let's see if we can't win a couple of games and we'll get Taysom kind of thinking in the offseason, like, you know what I mean? We'll kind of pump his confidence up a little bit. We still don't know what the future is going to look like with Jameis. I mean, at this point, Jameis is still operating on a one-year deal where he's going to be a free agent come the offseason. And you go through that stretch and you probably realize he can't do it at this level. He can't really do it at this level. And Taysom and Peyton probably have a relationship where they've talked about this a lot, and Peyton's probably told him, I'm going to give you every chance to be the quarterback for the Saints. I'm going to give you every opportunity. I'll let you start a preseason game. I'll let you go through the entire training camp in competition with Jameis. But if you don't make it, and you're not the guy, this is over. This experiment is over. And you're going to be Taysom Hill. You're going to be a wide receiver. You're going to cover punts. And you might get some snaps at quarterback. We might toss it to you. We might pitch it to you at running back. I don't know. But that's who you're going to be after you go through this experiment of trying to be an NFL starting quarterback where, look, man, you got a skill set that's good enough to get the tryout, but you're not good enough to be the guy. But you're lucky enough where you're talented, where you fit in other places on an NFL football field. A lot of that, I mean, 99% of the people on earth, that doesn't work out for. If you can't play defensive tackle, then I can't help you. If you can't play wide receiver, I don't know what to tell you. If you can't cover kicks, then there's no spot for you. For Taysom Hill, he can do all of that. But he's not a quarterback. He's not an NFL quarterback. And I didn't need last night to show me, but after watching them side by side where Winston is on like he was last night, 9 of 10, 2 touchdowns, and I mean, he dropped that second Callaway touchdown into a bucket. Callaway caught that with his left hand while somebody's pulling his right hand away, and the ball was like a 40-yard handoff.
That was amazing.
I mean, he dropped it into his arm. His quarterback competition is not close to me, and I think the Saints can win with Jameis Winston.
And do you think it is Sean Payton the only one pushing that narrative to where he has it named? I think
it seems like it.
There's probably going to be an announcement coming soon. I would imagine
well,
after what you just saw last night.
You could tell Payton was a little pissed for how much he was getting. Lisa Salters asked him before the game. He went back and forth with a media member in the press conference after the game when people were pushing for him. What's the timeline? When are you going to make the announcement? I mean, he kind of got to a point where we'll let you know. You know, I mean, we got you, Coach. All right, sorry. But I mean, it looks pretty obvious on who the guy is. When are you going to name this thing?
Even in the booth, they were like, this thing seems over.
I mean, he told Lisa Salters, like before the first game, and kind of laughed at her with some sarcasm, like, quit asking me the question on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? Lisa Salters is kind of like, but Coach, I mean, like it's the elephant in the room. I mean, it's walking down Main Street. I have to ask this, and I have to ask you don't you see how far the gap is, like everybody else? I mean, it's legions, bro. It's not close.
But it makes me wonder if he's so concerned about the turnover issues because that's the last thing you want your quarterback to be able to do is to turn the ball over. And Sean Payton is such an offensive-minded, I would say, genius, to where he is one of the better play callers, if not the best play caller in the NFL on the offensive side of the ball. If he feels like he can control Taysom a little bit more, controlled chaos, look, we'll still be able to score if I have Taysom at the helm, but I can't let Jameis turn the rock over every other, 3 times a game, twice a game, if that's what's going to happen. Like, he's so terrified of the turnovers that he wants to control Taysom's ability to run the ball a little bit more and rely on that defense. That's awesome. Dennis Allen will be a head coach next year.
Taysom is he's got that Jordan Jefferson fright to him where he doesn't want to
He doesn't trust his first read.
He doesn't want to turn it over.
Right.
He has been taught so much of protect the football. Turnovers will get you cut. Turnovers will get you, not playing that.
Preseason quarterback syndrome.
Yes. He just holds it, and he either eats it or
tries to run.
You don't want your quarterbacks taking those shots. I mean, at some point, and for as tough and physical as he is, those will add up, and those will cost you in week 12, 13, 14, 15, into the playoffs if your quarterback is consistently week in, week out, just playing as physical as he does. I'm running late. I got to get to Jay Cicero, president of the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation, talk about some of the things that they have coming up over there. Daily, we're brought to you here by GoFlow IV and Spa. They are located on Jefferson Highway. Stop in and see them. GoFlowIV.com is where you can find them to make your to create your appointment, to get your appointment today. You can also get memberships over there. GoFlow IV and Health and Wellness is Baton Rouge's premier medical spa, specializing in IV hydration treatments with vitamin infusion. Check them out online at GoFlowIV.com. Give me 2 minutes. We'll be back with Jay Cicero right here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022. 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Papa Earl's, the fine spice, originating right down here in South Louisiana by our guy Mark Pop Norman. Developed it back in 2018 and won Amazon's Newcomer of the Year in 2019. They pride themselves in having 30% less salt and sodium than the leading brands at the same price point. You can find them locally. Look for Papa Earl's at Rouse's, Calandro's, Mathern's, High Neighbor, and more. True Blue Water, true hydration at its finest. Right now, you're only a few minutes away from getting your 5-gallon water delivered to you, just like we are over here at the UDL. All you got to do is log on to truebluewater.com. That's TRU, bluewater.com. The website's fantastic over at truebluewater.com. You can get your service and find out how quick it is. You can schedule a delivery, even hop on the billing system right there at truebluewater.com. TRU, bluewater.com. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back here to the Jordy Culotta Show, driven and powered by Go Chevrolet, as we will talk to Jake Crain coming up here at 8 a.m. this morning from the J-Boy Show. Big announcement coming from the J-Boy Show today at some point. We'll talk to him about SEC football. But now we get back to a guest who we've had on a couple of times here, and always appreciate his time. Sorry that we're a little late here on this Tuesday morning as we catch up with the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation president down there, Jay Cicero, with a lot of exciting things happening down in the Big Easy. We like to touch base with the president down there to see what's going on. Jay, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jordy. How you doing?
Doing okay, man. Thanks for coming back. Sorry we're a little late this morning. We got our 4 tickets for the raffle, and we are fired up. The drawing is this Friday, correct?
It is.
Oh.
We're sold out, and the drawing is this Friday. It's going to be live on Facebook at the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. So if people follow us Friday at 5 p.m.,
wow,
we'll be picking a winner.
Katie, who works on our show, who has done great work in setting this interview up, said that I don't know if it was your assistant or somebody out of your office who was surprised to hear that the raffle was sold out. When she said that surprised the room. I would imagine that this was something that has a ton of interest and a ton of intrigue in it. So is that right? Were you guys surprised to see how much and how fast these things flew off the shelf?
We were. We were planning on selling right up to 3 o'clock on Friday and choosing the winner at process and everything, and choosing the winner at 5 p.m. And over the weekend, the sales shot through the roof, and we hit our mark and hit our limit, and we're very happy about that. Next year we might have to open it up to a little bit more tickets, but we're excited that this has come through, and it's an important fundraiser for the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation.
Must have been the visit on the Jordy Culotta show last time.
Absolutely.
Now we know where you're spending your ad dollars next year, for sure. But, Jake, tell us about the exciting stuff coming up. You and I obviously talk about the Final Four because of our love for basketball, and I remember going to the Final Four in the Superdome and watching Carmelo Anthony and Dwayne Wade, the University of Kansas, TJ Ford in Texas, back in 2003, and that being a great event. This is not the first time that New Orleans has seen this event, but what does New Orleans receive when the NCAA Final Four comes to town next March?
Well, Jordy, this will be the sixth Final Four that New Orleans has hosted in the Superdome. So that's a pretty big number, and obviously it used to come a lot more frequently before dome stadiums became the rage around the country. But this is an amazing event as far as economic impact. I think the importance of this event to Louisiana versus the importance of this event maybe to Houston or Atlanta. The importance in Louisiana is larger. The impact in Louisiana is larger. There are more people in Houston than we have in our entire state.
Yeah.
There's more people in the Atlanta area than our entire state, and more Fortune 500 companies in those areas than our entire state. So when you talk about big business and big events coming to Louisiana, it just means more to us. And I think that shows from our citizens to our businesses, the Superdome, the Sports Foundation, the way we manage these events and help our clients, work through the intricacies of hosting a major event like this in a great city like New Orleans.
I don't know if people appreciate or understand what it takes to put on an event of that magnitude, and what the timeline is in getting prepared for something like a Final Four. Can you give our audience some insight there, and then having the responsibility of getting the arena and the environment set for COVID protocols? What is the challenge of getting prepared for this event, or just how timely and detailed is it?
It's extremely detailed, and it really started over 5 years ago when we bid on this event, and we were working with the NCAA for several months. It was around a 5 or 6 month bid process, and working with the NCAA on this specific year, 2022, and going back and forth and negotiating the contract with them and the bid. And so there are literally thousands of details that are required to host an event like this. And so it started 5 years ago. The Sports Foundation led with Tulane and UNO led the charge to bid on this event. We when it was awarded, we signed all the contracts with the NCAA, created a host committee and signed those contracts. And then it became our job to start preparing. And, of course, there's not as much preparation in 5 years, 4 years, 3 years, but over a year ago, we started preparing and seeing, what it's going to take to host this event. Of course, the event being canceled in Atlanta in 2020 due to COVID, and then being a bubble in Indianapolis last year with all 68 teams traveling to Indianapolis. There wasn't really much to learn, and so we relied on our history and the vendors that have worked for the Final Four and the NCAA before here in the New Orleans area to really prepare over the last 6 or 8 months. And we've got another 6 or 8 months to go leading up to April of 2022. So there's a lot of preparation. There's a lot of details. And obviously now that the second or the fourth wave or however many waves it is of Delta's out there, and the protocols that are in place now, we're thinking about what, along with the ASM Global and the good folks at the Superdome, thinking about, okay, what are we going to have to do if this is still around in April? Yeah. And of course, it's going to cost more. A lot more personnel are going to be needed. And there has to be the logistics of getting people in the dome on a timely basis. The 70,000 people that are expected to attend aren't me and you who know where our parking spot is, our favorite spot is, who know when to arrive at the dome, they know how to get to their seats, they know where their favorite place to grab a bite to eat is before, during, and after the game. It's different. So it's a lot of people who aren't used to being here. And when that happens, you've got to take extra care in getting them into the facility that day. And so that takes a lot of manpower and a lot of planning. And so that's just one of the wrinkles associated with it. We also have to recruit and train, feed, clothe, park, 3,000 volunteers. So, just that challenge alone is difficult, but there are hundreds of other things that have to be done in order to host a successful event like that.
Jay, you and I are biased, and we've talked about this on the air, but I think people recognize this off the air, that New Orleans is the best host city in the world, just because of the proximity of everything, the entertainment, and just the feel of the city. You guys are hosting another Super Bowl in 2025. That'll be Sunday, February 9th, 2025. What is it like going into the competition of bidding on a Super Bowl? And even though New Orleans has done this just about as much times as anybody out there, as any other city, what are the challenges in trying to do that in today's modern world where everybody's looking at facilities and hotels and restaurants and everything that goes into everything in and around the game?
Well, that's a great question. And it has changed over the past 20, 25 years in my time with the Sports Foundation. It used to be that, New Orleans speaks for itself, and that the entertainment value, the hotels being within walking distance of the Superdome, the nightlife, everything that New Orleans brings to an event like the Super Bowl really played a large card in helping us win that event. That's why we'll be in 2025 will be our 11th time in hosting a Super Bowl in New Orleans. But the competition now is fierce for events like the Super Bowl and Final Fours and other major events that the Sports Foundation bids upon and manages. So that process of not only promoting what New Orleans has to bring as far as what everybody loves about New Orleans, we also have to be financially competitive. the NFL and other events, they are weighing what it costs to do business in New Orleans versus what it costs them to do business in Atlanta, Miami, Phoenix, Dallas, Houston, now Los Angeles, and maybe Las Vegas somewhere down the line. And then what other if there's another facility built around the country, that perhaps it'll be awarded to a new facility. So remaining competitive financially on these bids is part of the challenge that the Sports Foundation and the Saints together, when we're bidding, have to really rise to the occasion. Again, you have cities out there that we're bidding against. The cities I just named are all bigger than our entire state, and so the competition is fierce, and we have to remain competitive and have been able to remain competitive to date. But these events aren't going to get any less expensive as we move forward over the next 10, 15, 20 years, and we have to continue to be competitive financially, as well as be able to promote all the great things that New Orleans and the state of Louisiana has for these major events.
Were you in the Dome last night?
I was not in the Dome. My wife and I watched it intently, and it was exciting. The first quarter was pretty exciting, and the first the first offense and the first defense looked really good. And I don't know, Taysom didn't have a great night, but I don't think I'm not sure who's out there with the ones on offense or not. That was unclear to me, but that I'm inspired by what the possibilities are. And everybody talks about the quarterback controversy. I learned a long time ago not to second guess what Sean Payton thinks or says or his decisions. He's every time I do, he makes me look bad. So I don't do that, because he is so good at what he does, and nobody knows more about quarterbacks and what to do than Sean Payton. So I'm, whatever he chooses, I'm for 100%.
I know you guys had not so much a hand in it, but you got very much your eyes on it. What did you think of the functionality after seeing the Dome now and its new look after its upgrades?
I think it looks great. We actually have not seen it in person yet. We were supposed to walk through with the NCAA last week, and I got sidelined by something else that came up. But the renovations look great. Caesars being the new naming rights sponsor of the Superdome, that looks great. It has a great feel to it. They're a great partner of the Sports Foundation down to Harris. And they've been a wonderful member of our community for a number of years now. But I think that they're going to continue to, whatever kinks they needed to work out last night, they're obviously going to continue to improve upon. And it seemed like people were generally cooperating as far as any mandates were concerned. So Saints fans want to see the Saints, and that's an important piece of our culture. Here in Louisiana, is major events like the Sports Foundation hosts, the New Orleans Saints, LSU football. All of that is an important piece of our culture.
The foundation will auction off and raffle off the best giveaway I've ever seen this Friday. They have sold out all of their raffle tickets, and the grand prize winner will receive New Orleans Saints regular season tickets, New Orleans Pelicans, LSU football, LSU men's basketball, Tigers baseball, Tulane Green Wave football, men's basketball, Green Wave baseball, UNO basketball and baseball, Nola Gold rugby regular season, R+L Carriers Domes VIP pass, a 2022 All-State Sugar Bowl ticket, and the Zurich Classic 4-day VIP pass is what you receive if you win this Friday's raffle from the Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation. Their president, Jay Cicero, kind enough with a couple of minutes here on this Tuesday morning on what I know is a very busy day for him. Thank you, Jay, for a couple of minutes of your time. Very much looking forward to the announcement this Friday.
Jordy, I appreciate it. I encourage everybody to follow us on Facebook at Greater New Orleans Sports Foundation this Friday at 5. and watch us choose the winner.
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
Thank you, Jay. See you, man. All right.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
That was some unplanned sound effects from the crew there. That was right on time from you two.
I never know how to handle interviews when it's somebody like,
bro, crank that AC back on.
I know,
I'm
that's
dying.
brutal.
For God's sakes.
I'm dying.
But Jay
Good
Cicero seems so
Lord.
important. I don't think he wants to talk to me, so that's why I don't ask any
Probably not.
questions. So
That's
I
probably,
mean,
I
that's
can't
a good. I
wait
feel like
to
that's a good
win this.
Way
observation.
to read the room there, Lizzie.
Yeah.
Way to read the room.
But I do want to know. Oh, I do want to
That's
know
good.
if anybody's ever made it to all of those events. There's no way.
There's no way.
Every event, like every game.
Right.
No way.
Because if you win the
No way.
pass, like
No way.
somebody has gone
Well,
nuclear.
I'd imagine that there's some overlapping there. I mean,
There has to
it's
be
probably
overlap.
it's probably impossible to do that.
You don't think that they schedule it for you to be able to, like they're planning for you to give some away.
For sure.
Well, yeah, because there's Saints,
I mean,
LSU, and
there's-
Tulane
there's
football.
UNO
so-
baseball and LSU baseball.
Yeah.
There's Tulane basketball and there's LSU
Well, I
basketball.
know, but you could do the ticket package to where, all right, LSU's away this week, UNO's at home this week.
Oof, bro.
I don't know, Lloyd.
Are you a planner?
I'm
Like
not,
that?
but
I
I mean,
mean-
the Jay Cicero smells like money.
I'm scared if I won that all those tickets would sit on my coffee table and I'd look up in 2023 and
That's
be like, oh
exactly
shit,
what would
Just a
happen.
bunch of coffee stains on it. Like,
take
keep
advantage
it.
of any of this,
Oh
man.
my God.
Do y'all want to go to the? Oh, that was last year.
J-Boy, Jake Crain, yes. 2022 Sugar Bowl mean anything to anybody? J-Boy, Jake Crain is going to come up here in a couple of minutes. We'll talk LSU football with him. We'll talk SEC football with Crain. Georgia experiencing a rash of injuries and absences with Arik Gilbert over the past couple of days. What's the status of the Bulldogs from Jake Crane's point of view? He had Kirby Smart and Sick 'em Dogs. He had them winning the Natty. He had them winning the national championship.
And now they're out Arik. They're out no Pickens until what middle of the year maybe.
A couple of defensive players.
Defensive players are dropping like flies. Let's see if he
If he's changing
turns
his
back
tone a
the
little bit.
dial a little bit.
Which I would not
Hey.
fault him for.
You're allowed to do it until the first game's played.
I think so, and I think in this business, it's your opinion. I mean, you've got to be able to judge and analyze what's going on in front of you, right? I mean, everybody's takes and opinions change, and if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking I'm setting something up, but I'm not. I'm just saying that, I mean, if Jake comes on here in 5 minutes and says that he's off the Bulldogs, I'm okay with it. I mean, I'm not going to rail on him.
No,
but-
no, that's what I'm saying. Like, it would be different if they were 2-3 going into their 6th game of the year and be like, well, of course you're not on the Bulldogs anymore. But if he wants to go back on his word now, that's not his word yet. I think that's fair.
A couple of more things on the Saints here before we get into Jake, as we were talking a little bit about New Orleans before we jumped into the Jay Cicero interview, and we appreciate Jay for stopping by here. Check out the podcast brought to you by RMB Builders. Jameis Winston is the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints. However much Sean Payton wants to stretch this thing out and not make the announcement and make people keep guessing on what's going on and when's the timeline going to be, I mean, at some point, your natural instinct of just seeing and trusting what you're watching on the football field has to take over. I mean, like many of you, I mean, I've been watching sports my whole life, right? I mean, if you see two quarterbacks standing side by side and going out and playing like you have watching Jameis Winston and Taysom Hill, it's fairly obvious, right? I mean, the Saints are a better team with not only Jameis Winston under center, but Taysom Hill being a Swiss Army knife. Like, the Saints are their best with those two positions solidified with that personnel. I mean, if Taysom Hill's the quarterback, not only is not the best guy for the position playing, you're also taking away his skill set at other positions of need on the field. I mean, the secret's out on Marquez Callaway. I mean, that cat ain't going through 2 regular season weeks without being double teamed. On this Saints team, without now Troutman being carted off the field last night, let's keep our fingers crossed that that's not bad. MRI today, but it looked like it's going to be at least extended time that he'll miss. Troutman being out, Callaway being there. Now, I know Traquan Smith and Mike Thomas at some point are going to return to the lineup, and that may even bump Callaway down to the 3rd option on offense, and that's fine. And if he is, that's fantastic, because that would mean that Traquan Smith is having a very consistent and effective year. You expect Mike Thomas to be in the upper echelon of the wide receivers in the league just because of his style of play, his just being Mike Thomas. And then Kamara will be there, which will factor into the passing game, of course, in his skill set in catching the ball. But I think Taysom Hill, in those options, needs to be a part of the choices to make New Orleans the best team that they can be this season. I mean, who are we kidding, right? I mean, Taysom Hill is New Orleans Saints quarterback. Look at what your eyeballs tell you. I mean, he's not there. He's good in spots. He does things well, but I mean, overall, he ain't the guy.
When do you think we're going to know?
Officially? Mm-hmm. I mean, because we can put it out on record. The Jordy Culotta show knows that Jameis Winston is the quarterback for the New Orleans Saints, right? I mean,
we haven't talked
are we going to debate this?
No, I agree.
Are we going to debate this?
No.
But I mean, like, officially, it sounded like Sean Payton is not going to tell anybody until after preseason game number 3. He's going to squeeze every drop and every life out of this lemon, every piece of life out of this lemon until.
When is that? When's that next game?
The next game will be on Saturday.
Okay.
For the Saints, I believe they close out their preseason and then they'll move into the regular season. Cuts today. I mean, they have to cut 5 more guys today.
Mm-hmm.
My question is, how, with the Adam Troutman injury,
Saturday night versus Arizona, they're done.
Okay.
How many snaps do you see Taysom Hill playing on offense that's not a quarterback? Like, what's his role? How often do you see him out there? Because you do have to treat him, as much as we want him to be the Swiss Army knife, he still is your backup quarterback. Like, you can't use him as much as you want to.
I think if they name Jameis, when they name Jameis the starter, that they will get into the backup quarterback market.
Oh, you think they go sign somebody?
Has Jarrett Rosen signed anywhere? I think Atlanta signed him after A.J. McCarron tore his ACL, which I hated to see that. McCarron tore his ACL over the weekend for Atlanta as he's backing up Matt Ryan. And McCarron, reputably, one of the really good backups in the league. You know, I mean, I would say he's up there with Chase Daniel. He's trusted as far as. Are there any good ones?
Yeah, I would say Chase Daniels.
Okay.
Is it great Chase Daniel? Just no S.
Is it no S?
Chase Daniel?
Oh,
I would say he's made a boatload of money.
I feel very geriatric putting an S on everything.
We got to go to the Walmarts later. Right. Can we go to Blockbusters?
Pass the remotes.
Yeah. I mean, Rosen, I guess. I don't know. I was
Did
so
Rosen
wrong.
get signed?
Yeah, he's with the Falcons. I was so wrong on him. I thought he was going to be great.
Oh, I mean, so was there. He was a first-round pick.
I just thought he was going to be good. He seemed to have, like, the big brain.
He must be terrible.
He must be bad.
Because he can't stick with the team.
Right.
I mean, he's gone from a first-round selection of a quarterback to a journeyman.
I mean, how much does your, like, I don't know.
Matt Barkley?
He's out there.
Matt Barkley, maybe the best backup? Is he the best backup?
I think it's still Chase Daniel.
What do y'all think about Trevor or Gardner after last night?
Gardner Minshew might be the best backup.
No doubt.
Tebow's
Jake,
available.
Hold tight. Hold tight. All right, yeah, but Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor or Gardner?
Trevor.
You think
Trevor
so?
Gardner?
You think he's going to
Be the starter?
Trevor
Do it
or
again.
Gardner?
Oh, I thought you were putting them together again.
But
To be the
I
starter?
was. Yeah.
Lawrence.
You think so?
Do you
Absolutely.
I think she might have some merit here where I don't know if it's safe to put him out there. He looked good, but he also looked like he was running for his life.
He is running for his life.
What's the point of playing it? They're not going to win more than 4 games regardless. Like, I would imagine they might throw Gardner Minshew in there for like the first week or so, like first 4 weeks, and just let it everything kind of calm down around him. Because if you've watched this preseason, which I have and gambled on intently, Justin Fields looks like the best rookie quarterback of the crop so far, and he's not going to play.
No way, bro. Have you seen the New York Jets game? Have you seen Zach Wilson play? It ain't even close to the best rookie quarterback.
Did you see Zach Wilson's first game where they scored 6 points?
Yeah, but I mean, you just what does your eyeballs tell you?
Justin Fields.
Is the best rookie quarterback out there?
I think so, man. He's lit it up twice.
Jake Crain, good morning. How are
He's
you?
not even
Who's the
on.
best
He's
rookie
turned
quarterback
out.
in this preseason?
I'm going Zach Wilson, man. The wit from the West.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
Look, there's a good anybody that it looks like he's about to try and help Robin Williams and Hook and Rufio try and kill Captain Hook. But other than that, he looks great.
He does have a Peter Pan quality to him.
I mean,
Dude.
the kid can't age.
I mean, it's unbelievable. Jake Crain is joining us here from the J-Boy Show. My guy is blowing up. I am expecting an announcement at some point today. We will not tell you what that announcement is about, but The guy is just he's busting out news every week of exciting things that is happening around his show, man. Congratulations to you. Thank you for the time this morning. Everything good?
Man, it's great. 10 a.m. Eastern, the story will drop on a pretty big news outlet, then they're going to trickle it out on other things. It's, I'm very fortunate, had a lot of people that have helped me and the timing and everything like that. You guys, as well, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of hard work, and, mix that with the season getting here, and I'm on cloud 9 right now, my friend.
100%, bro. We were talking a little bit about your Georgia Bulldogs selection the last time we talked about having them hoist the trophy, national champs in your eyes. It's been a hell of a week, past couple of weeks for the Dogs as they lost a couple of big-time players on the defensive side of the ball, and then Arik Gilbert is dealing with some of the same issues that he was battling down here in Baton Rouge. Has your feeling changed on Georgia going into the season, and if so, why?
No, because, again, I think they're one of the 3 to 4 teams in the country that are recruited at a level where, while you want all your starters going in and you want your best, to win this league, and you know this, Jordy, you guys know this, you don't win it with your first 22, you win it with your first 44 and really your first 56 when it comes down to it. And this is why when you stack recruiting class on recruiting class, you can kind of save yourself. And no, I think Georgia, some of those guys are going to be back, obviously, but, when you recruit at that level, I still have Georgia beating Clemson, and I think they have, if easiest could be the word you use, the easiest SEC schedule as well. So I'm going to stick with it, man. I'm going to dance with the one that brought me.
When you look at the Western Division, there's a lot of discussion on who's behind Alabama at this point, whether it's Texas A&M or if LSU's still holding steady right there. How do you look at the Western Division pecking order, the way that they kind of line up going into the season?
Well, I'm not going to bet against Nick Saban, obviously, to win the West.
Sure.
I was born at night, but not last night. And when I look at who's going to be under them, I think you're going to have LSU and A&M tie for second, but LSU will win the tiebreaker the last game of the season to pull even with A&M and finish second. So I've got Alabama, LSU, A&M, Auburn. I still don't think Ole Miss could stop an old lady walking across the street on defense right now. So I'm going to have them right behind Auburn. Arkansas's got one of the toughest schedules in the country. It's not the toughest schedule. I've got them 6th. And then until Mississippi State decides they want to run the ball at least, I'm going to have them in the bottom of the West pretty much the whole time.
What an atmosphere if it comes down to the last playing week of the season with LSU and A&M for the Western Division title on the line.
Good God.
Or just a little piece of the pie. On that side. What is it about A&M and College Station that has everybody kind of getting in the feels of Jimbo right now? I've seen a lot of preseason polls have them within the top 6 teams in the country. Are we looking at last year, or are we looking at the way that they've recruited up to this point?
Well, I think you got to combine it. I always think every team is circumstantial, and you can't just look at personnel. You have to look at schedule. I think their schedule while you're in the West, and I can make the argument this year, Jordy, that the West is as deep as it's ever been. I don't think Alabama's going to be as elite as they've ever been. But from top to bottom, there's really not a cakewalk in the Western side. Now, I could argue against that on the Eastern side, obviously. But, no, man, the thing with A&M is Jimbo has built that team from the inside out. And, we talk about Georgia's defense. We talk about Alabama's defense. A&M had the best defense in the conference last year, and they return a lot of guys. DeMarvin Leal, I wouldn't be surprised if he had Asian DNA in him, man. That guy, I think, is going to be a top 3, top 5 pick. But it's not just him. They returned a ton of the secondary. You look offensively, that offensive line last year was elite. They returned a couple of them. And I'm going to be honest with you. I thought Kellen Mond is a good college quarterback. The fact that Jimbo got him and E.J. Manuel drafted, he should win an award for that. Because I don't think Kellen's going to have a great NFL career. I think he kind of held the offense back a little bit from a passing standpoint. And I think Haynes King, I like Calzada. I think Calzada's going to be the backup. But I think Haynes King has a chance once he gets his feet wet to really be something out there. But it comes down to up front. A&M is elite up front, in my opinion, on both sides of the ball. And that can hide a lot of inadequacies. And they don't have a lot of inadequacies.
You mentioned Ole Miss, and they've kind of been this sexy pick for people maybe even outside the conference because they see Lane Kiffin and see the offensive numbers, and then they see Matt Corral, maybe the best quarterback in the conference going into the season. It's obvious you sound weary on their defense, but how do you feel about Ole Miss going into the season?
Well, they're going to score points. They're going to have to score 40 to 50 points to beat the better teams in the conference. Here's where I think you run into problems. I mean, last year, and listen, Matt is awesome. I've had him on the show. Him and the combination of him, Levy, and Lane is about as good as you're going to get offensively with a head coach, OC, and a quarterback. I think you could say Kirby, Munkin, and JT's probably second on that list. But there's going to be nights where the offense isn't hitting. And it's just like basketball. Sometimes you can have elite shooters, elite scorers, but the ball's not falling in the basket. And in this league, I can make the same argument for Oklahoma, even though I think Oklahoma's a better defense than Ole Miss is, obviously, right now. But scoring points is not enough to be consistent in this league, and especially in the West. And you're a couple injuries away. And listen, I think Braylon Sanders is going to be all SEC. I think that kid's really good. Jerry and Ely, not only running the ball, but being able to catch the ball in the backfield. A lot of people don't realize Ole Miss led the league in rushing last year, and they passed to run, so it kind of works in the inverse property. But I just don't see them being able to get enough stops to win enough games to finish where some people have. Brandon Boykin came on my show, and I love Brandon. And Brandon was a hell of a player at Georgia. But Brandon Boykin came on my show and said Ole Miss is going to win the West. I made him look in the camera and point at the camera and say that for the world to hear. I just don't buy it.
Jake Crain of the J-Boy Show is joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. You can follow Jake on Twitter and on social media at the J-Boy Show. LSU's gone through a couple of scrimmages here in the preseason, and it seems like consistently the defense is kind of dominating the day. I say that LSU is getting this reputation going into the season as being a contender because of how people feel about their defense. Is that where the LSU respect is coming from in the preseason from your point of view?
Well, yeah, the way I look at it is like this, Jordy. I coached for 9 years, at a pretty high level for most of those years. And scrimmages are tailored to be circumstantial. That's why I really don't take a ton of stats away from scrimmages, because most of them are made to put certain position groups in conflict. And you want the defense to be ahead of the offense in fall camp. If not, then you're not going to have a very good team most cases. So when I literally look at LSU, I think you're going to have, and again, we talked about this on the show, I think LSU does better as the outsider, even though they're getting some love. Last year was an anomaly, in my opinion, and they returned a ton of talent, and nothing motivates an 18 to 22-year-old more than getting embarrassed in front of all of your friends. And that's what happened last year at LSU. So I think offensively, that the only question I have, and people can say it's not going to affect the play calling, I don't believe it for a second. When Miles went down, because I thought Max was going to be the guy eventually, I'm wondering how much they're going to use Max's legs. And he's a tough guy. I know they've had talks with him, but especially in the red zone, because that's where play callers make their money. A lot of guys can call plays and look good in between the 20s, but that quarterback run game really comes into effect, and so does the tight end in the red zone. So I wonder if that's going to affect the way Jake calls plays. I think it will, but I don't think it's going to hamstring them enough. But they need to go out to UCLA, Jordy, and make a statement. Because, football's like life. It's a game of momentum and angles. And that's a long way to go, but you'd rather go there week 1 because you're going to be juiced than do it week 3.
Jake Crain joining us here on the Jordy Culotta Show. Look, I agree with you on that defense and where they are, and I especially agree with you on the play calling. I think it changes the mode in which Jake Peets, DJ Mangus, and that offensive staff game plan, now knowing that you're a snap away from looking at a true freshman quarterback. For as good as Garrett Nussmeier has been, and he's gained some headlines here over the last couple of weeks, you still do not want to look at a trigger puller as a first-year guy in the Southeastern Conference and really think that you have a chance. Brian Harsin was diagnosed with COVID. That takes him off the practice field and moves him into a virtual element. How much does that set Auburn back here in training camp?
Well, you know me, Jordy. Listen, I don't get into the vaccination talk. The way I look at it is, this is why you hire Derek Mason, former SEC head coach, Mike Bobo, former Division I head coach, to handle it. And now with technology and all that stuff, you obviously want to be on the field. But this is where you lean on those guys. It's not like you have a young guy out there trying to keep everything together. And again, you'd rather it happen now than 2 weeks from now. So while it does have an effect, you did a good job of hiring guys that have experience at that level, that aren't going to freak out. You have no problem with Derek Mason sitting there making the speech at the end of practice, or Mike Bobo and those guys. And what you're probably going to see is the defense and offense be pretty much split throughout the whole time while he's not there, and be able to still get the work done. So I don't think Brian Harsin was a micromanager when it comes down to, all right, guys, this is what I want us to run on offense today. I think he's letting Mike do his thing. He's letting Derek do his thing. I just hope he obviously heals fast and the contact tracing doesn't affect him too much.
What have you heard on the return on investment on Harsin through his first training camp when he was on the field? How was he received?
Well, I think accountability, is back at Auburn a little bit. He runs a very tight ship, and good players want to be coached that way. They want structure. It's like kids. They want structure. Regardless of how much they fight it, they want structure, and they need structure. Now, I give a guy a couple years. Even though we have the transfer portal, he doesn't have all of his personnel in there, even though he did inherit a much better situation than Josh Heupel, a much better situation than Shane Beamer, and poor Clark Lee, unless he was born on Krypton, I don't know if he's going to be able to help anybody out at Vanderbilt. So, at the end of the day, the wins and losses are going to dictate it, but I think the process, for lack of a better term, Auburn is in a better situation than they were, and we'll see. The biggest thing is recruiting. You can't recruit like you did at Boise. This can't be the Brian Harsin Center for kids who want to be developed good. You got to be able to go in there and you're not going to beat Alabama and Georgia in the recruiting rankings, but you got to win some of those battles, especially on the offensive line and the defensive line. And that, I think, is going to dictate whether Brian Harsin thrives or gets driven out of Auburn here in the next 3 years.
A lot of people on Emory Jones as a breakout player here going into the season. How do you feel about Jones under center, and what does that mean for Florida?
There's a reason you don't play for 3 years. And listen, I know Emory, like it just blows my mind. They're like, well, Emory Jones is going to win the Heisman. It's like, no, you didn't play for 3 years. Like there's a reason for that, and that's not a shot at Trask. Obviously,
no, I know what you mean.
Trask was a hell of a player and all this stuff. But when I look at it, man, I look at what Florida lost offensively, and Dan Mullen is one of the best play callers in the country. I don't think anybody will dispute that. But when you look at what they lost with Kadarius, with Kyle Pitts, who's probably generational in my opinion, and you go around this, even Grimes, they're not going to be able to replicate what they did offensively. And I just don't see Emory Jones being the guy that can lead Florida. I have Florida, Jordy, finishing 4th in the East. And I really look at their schedule. I mean, their schedule, we talk about all these other schedules. I mean, they've got Bama at home. You're going to take that L. They're going to have to play Georgia and Jacksonville. You're going to take that L. You've got to go to Missouri. You've got to go to Kentucky. You've got to go to South Carolina. I look at that schedule in week 3. I'm telling you guys, if Bama, there's no more pressure on a coordinator in the whole sport of college football than there is on Todd Grantham and that defense. Oof. If they weren't winning last year, I think he would have been fired, but Dan didn't want to rock the boat. And if Bama goes in there and they roll up 45 on him, I would be surprised if Todd Grantham has a job after that. And we all know how that rabbit hole goes in this league if you fire a coordinator halfway through the year with that schedule. So I'm not buying it with Emory Jones. I'm just not.
This is a big day for you. Thank you for a couple of minutes this morning. Congratulations on all your success, buddy. You got more in the pipe coming down for you, and we are here and watching all of it. We're happy for you and proud of you. Thank you for the time this morning.
Jordy, thanks so much, man. You know how much respect I got for you. You guys are doing a heck of a job, and anytime you ever need me, brother, you just let me know, and I'll swoop down there. We need to get down there and have a cold soda or something.
I'd love that, man. Thank you, man. We'll talk soon.
All right, y'all be good.
All right, bro. There is Jake Crain. Stay tuned to the J-Boy Show.
I can't wait to hear what's going to happen for him.
He will have a huge announcement.
43 minutes.
Coming up here at 10 a.m. this morning or I guess it'll be 9 o'clock Central Time, 10 a.m. Eastern. So coming up here in about 45 minutes, there will be a huge announcement with the J-Boy Show.
Another announcement, they're saying at 2 p.m. or 1 p.m., I guess, is the alliance between the ACC and the Big Ten and the Pac-12. It's happening today.
Good for them.
Yeah, good for them.
I mean, that's a good rebuttal.
You got to make a move.
You got to make a move.
Something
what
had
happens to the Big 12? Are they just vanishing?
They just got
gone?
swallowed up.
I mean, the CSPN article says the Big 12 is driving this.
Driving it?
Yeah.
So no more Pac-12 then?
Well, no, the alliance is between the Big 10.
I meant the Pac-12. I said the Big 12. I meant the Pac-12. Did you say Big 10?
I said the Big 12.
Okay.
Start over.
I meant the Pac-12 is driving this.
Yes. The Pac-12 is driving this because they're looking for a partner that they
Right.
can form the alliance with to compete with the SEC.
Yeah.
And Big Ten is their dancing partner, and the ACC.
So how many schools is this going to be?
Where is the Big 12? I mean, where is the rest of the Big 12 going to go?
You mean the Big Ten?
No, I mean the Big 12. I mean, like,
Because
where's
this ACC, Big
Texas
10,
and
Pac-12,
Oklahoma.
so Big 12 is
Texas
left
and
out.
Oklahoma are leaving the Big 12 and they're coming to the
That's right,
SEC.
yeah.
So there's still 10 teams remaining in that conference. That if LSU, or excuse me, the SEC
LSU
brings in Texas and Oklahoma, which is going to happen, and I imagine that happens probably before next college football season, that the other schools were going to be left scrambling, and I'm talking about the other Power 5 schools, like the other conferences, are going to be left scrambling on how they compete with the SEC. So the Pac-12, the Big Ten, and the ACC are all forming the alliance.
Well, this says one possibility would be for the Pac-12 to reduce the number of league games from 9 to 8, and that would free up teams to play opponents from other Power 5 conferences.
That
Like
seems
Big Ten.
easy.
My question still goes back to
The Big 12. Well,
what goes on with the Big 12? How does this function?
I don't know. I guess they're going
With
to tell us
the
today.
team-
I think they
teams.
would have to grab schools from Group of 5. So you start going to your Cincinnati's. You start grabbing teams like that are
Yeah, like Conference
relevant.
USA.
Yeah, you start going to the Conference USA teams that are relevant and good.
Houston.
And then I guess you build a league out that way. But I don't think any of this, like what league you're in, is going to matter.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, they're going to figure this thing out to where it's going to be like a conference versus conference thing, and like they'll play each other out, and then it'll, like you said, when it gets to 16 teams, it doesn't matter who you danced with, who brought you to the party, as long as you got there.
Yeah.
Do you know how strange we're going to look back on college football business in just like 2 or 3 years? We're going to look back at like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, BCS model, and be like, what in the hell were people even doing? What were they thinking? How did they think that this was even viable
Yeah.
to create this model and put like financial backing behind it? Like major sponsor dollars behind this model, and really expect people to buy in and figure it out. Like, I mean, the yesterday way of working in college football is going to seem so antiquated. And I'm talking about like last year's business, 2 years ago business, LSU 2019 business is going to look
So different.
just historic, ancient, fossilized.
I mean, it almost was like college football was doing it backwards. Like they had this model in place where it just doesn't make any sense. Like if you look around like the country and what other sports are doing, it's like, why are we doing it with, especially if you go back to the BCS, like, do you remember huddling around a TV and waiting for a computer to spit
The
numbers out?
BCS election
you?
show.
And you're like, who made this decision?
Yeah, like, how?
How did this work? Like, and nobody could answer the question. They're like, well, they have a formula. It's like,
Well, what's the formula?
what's the formula? It's
Nobody
like, we
can
don't
explain
know.
it.
And so it's like, well, LSU got in, so I'm happy with it.
And they
but-
still can't even, they can't explain the formula of what they're looking for in the playoff committee.
Because
Like
I
how
don't
much
think those people are watching the games.
Well, I think that really all they're doing behind the walls is they're talking to the TV executives, and they're talking to the entertainment industry, and they're saying, how do we squeeze the most money out of these 4 spots? How do we get the most eyeballs on our television screens, streaming services, for our numbers to be spiked where we can charge more money for ads? I mean, I think at the end of the day, this is nothing but a television show.
That's exactly what I was
Yeah.
thinking. This is made for TV. This is not set up to determine the best team in the country. It's to determine how can we make the most money, and they're all laughing at every single one of us that thinks it's like a fair game.
I mean,
You
think
know?
about how much we talk about bubble teams in the NCAA basketball tournament, the NCAA basketball bracket. What do we debate the first 72 hours after the field is set? The top 4 teams left out. You know what I mean? Like
Or just seeding in general,
the
LSU,
biggest
Michigan.
snubs. You know, yeah, absolutely. LSU, Michigan. I mean, look at that. You think your eyeballs tell you that LSU was a 9 seed after what they accomplished, or was it 8 seed?
8 seed.
8 seed.
And But if you think of it from their perspective, they're going from, this is a made-for-TV. We're giving you a Sweet 16 game in the round of 32. Everybody's going to tune into this one. Like, I'm so done with believing in anything. Like, we've been so bamboozled by, like, all of this is just for money. And, like, there's no pageantry. There's no nothing. I'm so glad NIL happened. Like, to think that people can believe in any of that stuff.
Well, I think conference realignment showed you how much people care about rivalry.
Yeah, they'd go into the 16 teams.
Right.
Like, it all is just like, let's just put more games on that.
I mean, like, Nebraska leaving the Big 12 and going into the Big 10. I mean, breaking up that rivalry that they held long-standing with Texas for so many years. The Nebraska-Oklahoma, I mean, all of that. Nobody cares about that stuff when it comes down to money. You know what I mean? Oklahoma State. How do you think Oklahoma really feels about it, Oklahoma State? I mean, I know that y'all been playing your Civil War, your game for so long, and there's so much passion behind it. But really, come to find out, as soon as Oklahoma got a better deal and got a better offer, forget that game.
They don't give a shit about you.
They care less about that game. You know what I mean? We'll have another rivalry game.
You'll forget that it even happened in 10 years. It'll be somebody else, but...
Texas A&M.
Never happens. Like, that's so hard for me to wrap my head around that there wouldn't be, like, if it wasn't the SEC being the SEC, if it were like, oh, there's no more LSU Florida. There's no more LSU Alabama. Like, oh, like, those games don't matter. You'll play anybody and form a rivalry with them, which is true. But it's just, I thought that pageantry meant so much when I was younger. And now you just go to, like, even how conference realignment works, it's all based on TV deals. That's who drives the bargain is ESPN. Like, those teams don't, like, those conferences don't necessarily care until the numbers are put in front of their face.
What's the deal with the Rose Bowl with this? Because it says the Big Ten and Pac-12 are going to keep pushing for the inclusion of the Rose Bowl in its traditional form.
The Rose Bowl is a standalone outside of the playoff committee. Is not aligned with
conference.
Yeah, with conference. Well, I think it is aligned with conference, but it's not a part of the bowl structure where.
Right, because they get to pick I guess it is aligned with conference because that's the two teams that go in traditionally are a Pac-12 team and a Big Ten team.
Yes.
So that's probably what they're talking about. They want to keep that
formula
it as part
together.
Of any
playoff expansion,
yeah, they want to keep because it's so. I mean, it kind of speaks against what we're talking about. But
it's historic.
It does.
It's so
that's
historic.
What I was asking. Yeah, like that. That's
well,
a little thing.
The Rose Bowl is trying to claw and grip onto anything that they can.
That's the moneymaker.
Nostalgic or relevant.
Yeah.
I mean, they want their parade.
Yeah.
Like they don't realize that nobody cares about the Rose Bowl parade
Except
anymore.
for the people that put on the Rose Bowl.
Except for the people that are looking at it through that, I mean, the people that are stuck in the Rose Bowl forest.
Rose-colored glasses.
Yes, they can't see through the trees.
There you go, Lloyd.
We are brought to you daily by AdvanaClean. If you have water, fire, or mold damage around your office or house, then you need to get in touch with our friend Bradley Lynch over at AdvanaClean. They are online at advantaclean.com. AdvanaClean.com is where you can get in touch with Bradley Lynch. So many success stories, so many testimonials. In fact, one from me as we flooded a couple of months ago. And my first call was to Bradley Lynch. And just like he promised throughout all of the build-up and working together, that make sure that you're telling people that I'm easy to get in touch with and that their first call needs to be to me if there's water, fire, or mold damage. Once it happened to me, I made that call first, and Lynch was here in 15 minutes. The town was flooded. There was water all over the streets of the city of Baton Rouge, and somehow 15 minutes later, Lynch was knocking on the door telling me what I needed to do, how I could make this work, and working with the insurance company, working with the contractor, and after that, it was all good. Call our friend Bradley Lynch today, 225-369-5228. That's 369-5228. That's his cell phone number. That's going directly to his pocket. Yes, call that guy, man. If you need him, get in touch with him. AdvanaClean, ADVANTA, clean.com. AdvanaClean, proudly serving the greater Baton Rouge area, surrounding areas, and a proud supporter here of the Jordy Culotta Show.
All right, I got another quarterback question.
Why didn't you tell me I was cosplaying as the J-Boy during that entire discussion?
What's that?
I was the J-Boy flipping back and forth.
I thought it might be like a glitch on our thing, but obviously someone else saw it too.
I think J-Boy would agree with me, so that was his takes from him.
Those were his takes.
What you got?
Cam Newton or Mac Jones? What y'all think is going to happen? Making me nervous.
I think this news about Cam coming out means that it's Mac Jones. I think he's going to fall. Because if you remember last year, he was like absolutely stricken with the COVID policies to where he blamed almost all of his failures on that. Like, I didn't have a right offseason with the team. I couldn't be around.
Well,
COVID hit me
again.
hard. That's what I'm saying. So I'd imagine that this might give Mac Jones just that little leg up that he needed because he's been good.
He has been good. He's very good. So the latest out of Foxborough, Massachusetts, New England Patriots quarterback Cam Newton will remain away from the team until Thursday due to what the franchise is calling the
Communication?
misunderstanding on COVID-19 tests conducted away from NFL facilities. Newton's absence comes after he traveled to a Patriots-approved medical appointment that required him to leave New England, according to the team's statement. He received daily COVID tests, which were all negative due to a misunderstanding about the tests conducted away from NFL facilities. And as required by NFL and NFLPA, Players Association protocols, Cam will be subject to the 5-day entry cadence process before returning to the facility.
But if it was approved by them, then why is he getting punished for it?
He's unvaccinated.
But he has negative tests from every day.
As a non-vaccinated athlete in the NFL, he's got to go through certain protocol that's what they're calling the misunderstanding.
And this might be this is like a litmus test for the NFL and their testing policy, where they've been very stringent on if you're not vaccinated, it's going to be hell to try to get back on the playing field.
So you think that's why they're putting this out here?
Yeah, it's probably like a test case. So like, look, this is how it's going to be. No matter how much you look at the science and the data of like, all right, I have a negative test, I have a negative test. If you're unvaccinated, they don't really care about any of that. They would make it very hard for you because...
Well, yeah, he's missing an entire week of practice
now. And if you like, look at what the NFL is and their business model, they're pushing forward through all this. So the best way for them in their mind to do that is for all of the top players to be vaccinated, and that's the agenda they've been pushing.
Right.
So that's the narrative that this is their first chance to get out in front of something and say, look, if you're not vaccinated, this is how it's going to be.
Clearly.
Because if you've got, he has all of the information you think you would need, right, to be able to go back to practice.
You would think.
Yeah.
And they're just like, well, no, you're unvaccinated, so here's the protocol for that.
I wonder how much of that team is vaccinated. Is Mac Jones vaccinated?
I don't know.
He'll eat anything you put in front of him.
I knew that was going to get you good.
But he's not leaving the facility. You know what I mean?
No,
he's in the cafeteria.
He's not putting himself in any type of way that you're going to get me on protocol. I still think Cam's a starter, though.
I would imagine Mac Jones and Cam Newton's social life are extremely different.
You think?
Yes.
I've got Cam the starter going into the season. At some point, I think that it becomes Mac Jones' team and his job. I just don't think it's time is now. Cam's been pretty good, man.
He was good in his second week.
Yeah, Cam's been pretty good.
It's so hard not to overreact to like what you just watched when you're doing the NFL preseason. Like second week, he was awful week one. We're like, oh, it's Mac Jones' team. Cam Newton comes out and goes 8 for 9. We're like, oh, Cam's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
You're talking the Zach Wilson argument's unbelievable. I was just looking at his stats. They're so bad week one. Threw for 67 yards, like he's the best player in the preseason. Because in week 2 he throws for 130 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Looks like the rookie of the year from here.
from what I just saw, I'll watch one game.
I would definitely trade Trevor Lawrence back in for 3 Zach Wilsons if I could.
Next on Undisputed, the Jaguars make a mistake.
Right. But I was impressed with Lawrence last night in spots. Look, man, he's dropping back behind a high school offensive line.
He's
in
a terrible spot.
There are 3 rookie offensive linemen in front of him, and he's going up against one of the most dominant defensive lines in the game last night that was motivated. Davenport looks like he's about to bust out.
And he was playing in the third quarter again.
I know.
They have him, hey, this is his money year. He's this is his last year of his contract.
Yes.
And he hasn't done anything. And if you're the Saints, you want to validate the fact that you traded 2 first-round picks to get him. So I would imagine they want him to succeed in any role that they can to make it seem like you were right. They want to be able to extend him, but they're giving him the lion's share of the work to be able to, please go prove us right.
Yes. I agree, man.
Would you say that worst situation, Joe Burrow with the Bengals last year or Trevor Lawrence with the Jaguars this year?
Very similar.
Because they're running... Trevor Lawrence didn't have a second to breathe.
I would actually say that Lawrence is probably a little bit worse because the offensive game plan is terrible. At least Burrow last season. Zach Taylor is a modern-day play caller in the NFL. He's a modern-day play scripter in the NFL. He gets guys open. You know what I mean? Their route combinations look as if they are 2021. Looks a lot like Joe Brady's offense did. It looks a lot like Carolina looks. It looks a lot like the Saints look. It looks like L.A., the Chargers, the Rams. Yes, it's very spread. The field is balanced. You know what I mean? You don't have two people in one spot. You know, it just looks very 2021 football. What we were watching last night felt like Les Miles. I mean, it felt like dinosaur, fossilized, archaic football. I mean, it just felt like this is what you give the number one pick. And I know that you can't do a lot about personnel in the NFL. Like, as far as 3 rookie offensive linemen goes, you know, I mean, where are you going to go and try and upgrade that? There's not a lot of guys out there that can fit that position right now on the NFL calendar. You kind of got to go with who brought you here. I mean, you got to dance with your date at this point. But the fact that you're going to surround this guy with Darrell Bevell, I mean, and I'm not here to dump on. I don't know Bevell, his resume enough to really dump on him, but he looks like the same guy that was calling plays for Brett Favre in 2009 for Minnesota. I mean, it doesn't look like, and I'm sure that there's a lot of guys that were in the league then that are still in the league today, but you've got to evolve. I mean, you've got to adapt. You've got to progress. And
when we talked about this earlier, Vishal made a comment, and I forgot about it until just now. Went back and found it, that they said on the broadcast last night that he hired an old school OC, and they were trying to meld 2 different styles.
It looked like that. It felt like that. I mean, it was a lot of push and pull. It was a lot of frustration from Urban Meyer, not looking like we can't block these guys. It looked like his frustration was, what are we doing? What are we?
Why do you think that's going to work?
Why are we trying to do this? And, you know, obviously the buck stops with Meyer. I mean, you know.
How long do you think before he takes over play calling duties?
Oh, God.
Because week 3.
No, I don't think they make it to week 1. Because, first off, if I'm hiring Urban Meyer, one of the reasons why I'm hiring him is because of his offensive mind. And the first time he came in and asked me my thoughts on Darrell Bevell as an offensive coordinator after the hire, I'd have been like, yo, Herb, bro, what do you mean, Darrell Bevell? We want you. We want your offensive strategy, whoever you think is the best play caller for what you do today is who we want to hire. We don't want to hire Matt Hasselback's quarterback. I mean, like his OC. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, I mean,
I think a lot of it was Urban Meyer he's going into an uncomfortable situation, so he tried to surround himself with people that have been in this position before. He's like, look, I'm going to build an older staff so I can kind of lean on them. But if you're the Jaguars, you make a hire of Urban Meyer.
Hire an old offensive line coach.
Right. You could fill those positions anywhere to get a Pete Jenkins to lean on, you know, somebody to come and be like, oh,
yes,
this is the way I would do it. But like, if you hire Urban Meyer, you want Urban Meyer's offense. Like, what do you
100%.
do? I don't want Darrell Bevell.
Yes, I want what you did with Cardell Jones.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I want how you made that guy a player. I want you to.
How you made Alex Smith the first overall pick.
Yes. How you made Tim Tebow look like he could play football.
And then you brought him back.
I mean, where is that? You know, I mean, like, and I'm not saying that Urban Meyer's offense makes Jacksonville an AFC championship contender. I'm just saying that is not what we wanted. You know what I mean? Like, we weren't in the market for Darrell Bevell.
This is not the product I bought.
I mean, we would have hired Chuck Noll. You know what I mean? Like
Mike Nolan.
Jim Mora. I mean, this is stuck in 2006.
And then when you look at how they drafted too, you go Trevor Lawrence and ATN back to back. Like, it's very exciting. They have weapons everywhere on the offensive side of the ball. You have DJ
Hated to
Chark.
see ATN get banged up last night.
Yeah, didn't he sprain? Was that a sprain?
Called him a
Ankle
mid-sprain foot, a sprain in his mid-foot, which sounds very painful.
They said he was going to be out for a bit, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's a big deal.
He was limping off the field.
It's probably like a broken foot, then like a boxer's fracture, like a pinky toe fracture, something like that.
Tough for a running back.
Where it gets stepped on. Yeah.
Boxer's fracture.
And this one.
So
yeah, that sucked.
I don't know, man. I know the Saints have some issues that they're figuring out, but watching Jacksonville last night and just kind of being a little curious about what they have going on. I mean, Trevor Lawrence looks and passes the eyeball test. I mean, physically, he can do a lot of stuff back there that you can be pretty creative with. But it doesn't feel like Darrell Bevel's the guy. I mean, like that doesn't feel like that's the
that play
that's
sheet's
not what
about
we
to
want.
get taken away.
That's not what we want.
No.
Yeah. Bevel feels like he's kind of like he's kind of duking them. You know what I mean? Like he's kind of faking them out, almost like, ha.
Are they friends?
Now you have to pay me. I don't know. I don't know.
That's what concerns me, because that's a Cameron hire. You know, when you're like, oh, I brought in my guy.
Yeah.
And then Urban Meyer has the cachet at this point when he gets tired. He's like, I'm going to bring in the people I want.
If nothing else, we know who year one scapegoat is going to be in Jacksonville. Darrell Bevel is about to be the fall guy.
Maybe that's why you bring him in. Like, this
Maybe it
team
is.
stinks.
Maybe it is.
Let's bring in Darrell Bevel. Let
Who
him
can
take
we
the
cover
blame.
up how bad we're really going to be?
This is a
with?
5-year project.
Yeah. Maybe you should go
weird.
hire an old school offensive coordinator and we can blame it all on him.
Because that's
perfect.
all perfect.
Give me the list.
Wow.
Darrell Bevel's number one on the list. Call him.
Can't believe you called me.
Right. You want me?
We were talking before the show about Trevor Lawrence's hair. I know it's been a topic before, I'd imagine, but
Yes.
do you think he does anything special for that?
No.
You think it's natural?
I think it's natural.
All we could find was Pantene.
I
That's
think
what
it's
he
natural.
claims.
Because it's a perfect
It looks
cloth.
and feels very natural.
Have you felt
I mean,
it?
No, I mean like it looks like it just it's got a look and a feel to it.
When you were running your fingers through his hair, it felt very
Yes.
natural.
But I was close to him at SEC National Championship Media
Oh
Day.
yeah.
And it was
looked
kind of
natural?
kind of very like
Okay.
It's always perfectly shiny, and just he takes the helmet off and it falls right back into place.
Because we were wondering if he's...
well, it's not as if it falls into place. I think that's its natural resting
That's
position.
That's what I'm saying.
saying.
That's just luck.
It's
Yeah.
just
He
he
got
never
lucky.
messes with it. It's
Right.
just there. Perfect.
Because we were wondering if he's in there like before a game and he's got the blow dryer out. It's like you can't
No
win
way.
a locker room that
No way.
Yeah.
No way.
But he just got lucky with... So he'll never cut it then if it looks like that.
Never is
there
bold.
have been barbers lining up to do the haircut or become his stylist in Jacksonville, and one suggested darkening
No.
his hair. Worst idea
Never.
ever.
Yeah, no good.
Worst idea ever.
I do wonder if because sometimes you can lose hair like sometimes that can be a sneaky receding line kind of.
That's well, he's got the headband going.
Yes, indeed. Everybody get your motherfucking Rohan.
We're just having a show.
Good, baby? We're going to take a break. Rohan Davey
live.
just walked in. We will be back, and we will talk more with the former quarterback legend and the
Get his
7
thoughts
on
on
7
Trevor
dude.
Lawrence's hair.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence. Why not? Who was Darrell Bevel calling plays for when you were in the league? Minnesota, Seattle. I mean, he was Seattle. I mean, calling Trevor Lawrence play. They're going to get that guy killed. We're going to talk to Rohan about this next.
Matt
Coming back
Flynn-
here on the Jordy Culotta
Matt
Show.
Flynn might get a phone call.
Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Gearing up for spring and summer down here in South Louisiana, and you want to keep your lawn maintained during these sunny seasons, get in touch with our friend Blake Abear over at Abear's Lawn Maintenance, where he says, you grow it, I mow it. 225-485-8022, 225-485-8022 is where you can find Abear's Lawn and Maintenance, the official lawn and maintenance company of the undisclosed location. Go Chevrolet is proud to announce Go Express Auto Sales, the new used car lot located in the capital city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana, at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Go Express Auto Sales is online at goexpressautosales.com, or you can search them on Facebook and social media at Go Express Auto Sales, the newest addition to the family of Go Chevrolet. Remember, Go Chevrolet is located down in Laplace, Louisiana, but now welcoming aboard Go Express, the new used car lot located in Baton Rouge, Louisiana at 11522 Florida Boulevard. Welcome back in here to a Tuesday edition of the Jordy Culotta Show, joined here in the UDL by the man, the myth, the legend.
He's got notes.
Everybody get your motherfucking Rohan. I'll never forget, I picked up my date in 2000 to go to an LSU game, and she had a sign when she walked out of the deal that said, "Everybody get your motherfucking Rohan." And I said, I am in love with this girl, man. And the whole time when Ro hit Josh, we're in the stands. Everybody get your Rohan Davey. Is that great? Is that
Good
great?
for her. Where's she?
Is that a great? I don't know, but it was an all timer. And that was back in the day where they didn't even look at the signs. You could walk in the stadium. I mean, we're on ESPN, baby. I mean, like
throwing golf balls, of course.
Yes, indeed.
That's dope.
Ro, good to see you.
What's happening?
It's football season, baby.
Man, thank God.
Yes, indeed. It feels like it. Feels like it. Before we get into LSU, before we get into SEC, we were talking about high school football. We're looking forward to Woodlawn and Madison Prep this week, which you'll see some of the best prospects in the state on both sides of the ball. You and I have talked about Ricky Collins a couple of times, but these are the matchups and the games that Ricky Collins lives for, right? I mean, these are the ones that you can't keep him off the field.
Yeah, he's a high competitor. Definitely loves a challenge, and he's gonna have one because is Q playing?
Yes. Q sat right here on Monday morning, bro, and I mean last Friday morning.
And almost took the couch with him.
I mean, this cat, dude.
He's special.
He's got to be the #1 defensive end in the country.
He's special, man, and he's in the mold of all those guys. You got the big kid out of Donaldsonville.
Yep, Tap.
And
Jamon Tap.
I was working out one morning and actually had the privilege of seeing him work out over at LSU, and impressive.
Yeah.
Can we just say that? He didn't even have to take a step. That boy walked in and took his shirt off and got to warming up, and different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Different. If LSU could land both of those kids to go with what they have on the D-line, with everybody coming back, then the development of Jaquelin, the big kid out of Ponchatoula, Mason.
Mason Smith.
8.
BJ Ojolari.
BJ, I'm going to just say that. And then you bring these guys in, man. That's how you start that thing with units. Mm-hmm. This COVID gave not just LSU, but it gave all these teams an opportunity to not really reload with them giving this extra year and everybody coming back, but it gave them a chance to add depth and not to have the young guys just thrown in the mix and playing right away. That's what's going to help LSU. I expect big things from LSU's defensive line this year.
What other recruits are you looking forward to seeing this season? Guys that you saw on the summer circuit that you may say he's not getting the attention and love that he deserves right now, but just wait and come Friday nights and he will get that. I think that Ricky Collins probably fits that bill, but he made more of a name for himself this summer than last summer, probably because of people actually having a chance to get out and see him.
Correct.
And him going to camps and being able to work out.
Correct. I think that a lot of those kids lost a lot of the exposure during this time over like the last year year and a half. There's a wide receiver at Zachary, Cam. Slot receiver, very explosive, very competitive. He's a guy that I think is going to garnish probably not major Power 5 offers because he's a smaller guy, but definitely scholarship offers. He's one of those, I always see this magazine that say diamonds in the rough, and to me, he's one of those guys that's a diamond in the rough.
Cam Brown?
Yep. Cam.
Yeah.
Senior wide receiver, played on our team, so he's good. Ricky, you bring up Ricky, man. I really think
love
that
Ricky Collins.
this year for Ricky is going to be one of those years where, because of the talent that he's going to face, I've spoken to these guys that call about our guys, call about these guys, and the question is going to be consistency from him. So honestly, Rick has the opportunity this year, and not just him, his coaching staff and all the other players around him. Imran has the opportunity to show what kind of coach he is because Woodlawn loaded. Yeah. And so is Catholic, so is Scotlandville, so is Warren Eastern, so is these teams that they're going to play. Yeah. So, you know what they always say, the mantra is a coach will win you or lose you 2 or 3 games a year. Right. Regardless of the talent, because with the decision making, so on and so forth. So Ricky and that coaching staff have the opportunity to really cement themselves this year. Ricky has a chance, in my opinion, to just take leaps and bounds and catapult himself to the top of his class, period. Yeah. With him, if he runs through this schedule that they have this year and he plays well, and they win the state championship, where he just plays. For it. He's gonna show. He can show these people. He can show these guys. He can show these naysayers exactly what he's about with this football season. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think you're right, too, man. I mean, everybody's is talking about that kind of underground. When you talk about high school football, one of the programs that first rolls off the tongue with people around here in this area is Woodlawn, and it's because they got players first and foremost, but Marcus Randall. And their schedule is got to be the toughest in the state. It's got to be. It is the hardest schedule in the state of Louisiana. It's got to be.
Do you think that's who LSU ends up circling for the 2023 class? Because Arch is obviously out there, but do you think it becomes LSU and Ricky Collins as a marriage?
I think that right now, I don't think that the community is steadfast that that's a concrete offer. I think that the community thinks that offer, he's the biggest and the baddest thing in Baton Rouge. He's the best quarterback in Baton Rouge. You could compare him to Art. You could compare him to all these other guys. But when it comes to his athletic ability, his competitiveness, and I know these guys have to be competitive to be ranked as high as they are, so it's not a shot at Ark or any of these other quarterbacks. I know Ricky personally. So for him, it's going to be consistency from week 1 to week 10. And he has to stay focused. And them coaches, Moran and those guys, they have to do – because you can have a loaded team. You can have all this talent, all this. But if you don't do what you're supposed to, then it's a bust. Yeah. That's the way – so for them, it's whether playoff, championship, whatever it is, or bust. And they have to recognize and know what they have. Don't do what you told me Bevel was doing last night with my guy Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, Woodlawn's got a 5-star cornerback too, don't they?
Yep.
Is it Banks?
Nope. That's Roshan Matthews.
Matthews. Yeah, they look.
And listen, he's what you want in these 6'1" corner long, 6'7" wingspan. Young guy. He's a young cornerback. Super, super talented. What we want to see out of him and what we've been pushing is he has great ball skills. He has great feet, everything. We just need to see him now turn that into interceptions going the other way. Now turn it into instead of you being a great corner, great potential, now it's let's be a great corner that's a playmaker. That makes a difference, not just batting the ball down. Because ain't nobody going to beat the kid. He got great feet, all that. Intelligent, smart as all outdoors. All we want to see now from him is not go up and make that pick when you're
change the scoreboard.
Yeah. You got to be a difference maker.
Real quick, before we get into college football, Woodlawn schedule. Madison Prep this Friday, Jamboree. They open up with Jesuit at home. Then they play Warren Easton. Then they travel to Tallulah to play Madison. Then they come home. Then they stay up north and play West Monroe. They come back down and play Zachary. Then they play Dutchtown. Then they play Sandoval. Then they play East Ascension. Then they play Catholic High. Then they close out with McKinley. Then they play the Patriots, the Bucks, and the Packers. I mean, like, bro, that is
the only cake on there is
I mean,
McKinley.
look at all these. Look at their logos. I mean, if you go down the logos on their schedule, it looks like a who's who of LHSAA
That's
football.
exactly what it is.
I mean, like, that is
The easiest game on their schedule is McKinley.
yeah, and that's week 10. It's the
That's
last
right.
game of the season.
That's right.
That's the last game of the season. Okay, LSU. 2 preseason scrimmages in the books. It feels like the defense has won just by going by what people are saying. But offensively, it seems like there have been high points. Max Johnson is the quarterback of this team after Miles Brennan suffered the off-the-field injury. First and foremost, how do you feel about that going into the season? Max being the guy.
I think Max was going to be the guy from what I saw over there and from how they was moving. And also from how he was carrying himself and how he was, bringing those guys together. Kind of Joe Burrow-esque. Not quite to that level.
Right.
But, still in the mold. And he was doing the things to let everybody know that he wants the job, that he really wants the job. I think even a little bit more than Miles was doing. So I'm comfortable and I'm good with either one of those guys that was going into play because both of them played a little bit already. So it's not like they was going in there like a Nussmeier or something like that and just never had the snap. So I'm comfortable with that. My thing with it is just that Max has to understand and know when not to use his feet, when to get that ball out, when to just get it in the playmaker's hands because there's not much depth behind him. And to me, that's the most critical thing is no depth behind him and then have to play a young guy. So now you're leaning a lot on the coaches and them taking certain things, putting certain things in.
We were talking about Max's advantage in the competition being his athleticism and his ability to keep plays alive might be the edge that he had in the competition. Now that you don't have the experienced backup or guy that you would want from a depth standpoint, does that change your approach as a play caller with Max?
I think it does. Just like similar to when Joe was here and we were saying, oh, don't run, don't do this, don't do that. Now, you're still going to have to do something faster because that's your game. So you can't just totally say, I'm not going to run, I'm not going to scramble. That's his game. That's part of his game and a big part of his game. He just has to know when the journey's over. You know what I mean? When it's 2nd down and 5 and I've picked up 3 yards. Let me not instead of going out of bounds, let me not turn back into a linebacker and a safety and get crushed for 2 yards or 1 yard when I have another down to pick it up and I can hand it to one of these backs and get me 2 yards.
Right.
So it's just situations like that. He has to understand the situations and know that he's a little bit more valuable now because of Miles' injury and, understand that and do it accordingly. That's going to be a lot up to Jake Pease, man, and those coaches and Mang and all those guys because he's still a young quarterback. As mature as he seems, dad was a quarterback and all that, he's still a young guy. You still have to corral him a little bit sometimes.
How do you feel about the wide receiver on this group? It feels like every time we hear about wide receiver, outside of Butte, it feels like Butte is one of the best in the game.
Yeah.
That the first names of these freshmen, is whether it's Malik Neighbors or whether it's Brian Thomas or Chris Hilton or Jack Besh. Deion Smith.
Freshmen are some dogs. Man.
Dog enough that they play week 1.
Yeah. I think that, I love Malik Neighbors.
Yeah.
I think Malik Neighbors is going to be next on deck.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege of working with
Brian Thomas
since he was at Walker. So I knew he's really impressed me.
Right.
And it's not, you knew he was physical, you knew all that. To me, it's just the little things. Like I watched him at the first scrimmage take off on a go route. And most young wide receivers, once they get past the defensive back, they just run. They don't think of stepping back over and stepping back on their toes and giving the quarterback that 3 foot that we need to drop it over the top. And he just did. I mean, he just did everything. His attention to detail was really impressive for a young quarterback. And I'm gonna tell you, Chris Hilton, another guy that was at Zachary. I mean, Chris Hilton, he got to be one of the fastest guys in college football.
Or just his athleticism.
And he is amazing.
I mean, bro, he's freaky. He's freaky. His athleticism
you, dude,
is freaky. Like in a locker room full of freaks.
Yeah,
he's a freak. He's a freak.
He the head freak.
Yeah.
He is amazing. His athletic ability is unbelievable. And you know the other thing about him? He has really good hands, man. For a guy that's so fast, you know, normal guys like that's fast, they can't run routes, they can't do this. And granted, LSU's worked with him a bunch. But he has really good hands for a guy that's that fast that you would think is just to take the top off the coverage type of guy or just a deep ball guy. Like, he can be your intermediate catch guy.
Yeah.
You know, he's impressive. All those, listen, they're high on this
Yes,
freshman.
they are.
Besh has looked awesome.
Yes.
Everything he does is with so much intensity. I love the position that they have him on, and he loves it. Like
he's not too light. That doesn't.
Nah.
Yeah.
Because the thing with him is, he's not one of those guys that looks heavy, big, but that son of a gun is strong, bro.
Yeah, he is strong.
And physical is a big part of his game, and he doesn't shy away from it. And he has amazing hands.
Yeah.
The boy catch everything.
He does. He catches everything.
Everything.
How do you feel about the running backs? Because I hear more about the freshmen, too. I hear Armani Goodwin and Corey Kiner are probably going to play, too. But is that more of a compliment on them, or is that more of a criticism on Emory and Ty Davis-Price?
Nah, I think it's more of a compliment on those guys. Because, I mean, Kev is my guy.
Yeah.
And those guys, he working the heck out of them, and they all responding to him. Some guys are now understanding that they're being coached by a great and listen to every damn thing he tell you to do. So they're getting that part down, and they're all buying in. I don't have no questions about the running back position at all. They have all kind of different backs that could go in. They all can play. That's the thing about it. They all can play. They all can run the football. They all can catch. Some a little bit better than others. Of course, Emory and those. But that's not a position. They're all going to know what to do. They're all going to understand because of who's coaching them. So that position I don't worry about.
What's the role of the running back in this offense? I mean, outside of the obvious. I mean, what is he going to be asked to do in this?
Well, I think that you have to kind of lean on that position along with your offensive line right now. Because if you look and say what the strength of you, what is your strengths on offense right now? We can't say the passing game right now because we haven't seen it. We've seen it in scrimmages. But if you look at where your strengths, we talk about the wide receivers. You got one coming back, then a plethora of guys.
Yeah.
Talented, but still a plethora of guys.
Right.
Offensive line, you had all of them come back.
Yeah.
All of them, to me, have looked better than they have in the previous year. The running back, Ty Davis-Price, Emory, and then the young guy, you know what you have there. So to me, it's going to be early on getting those guys going and then picking up the passing game. Take your good shots down because it's so many guys that are exposed on offense. Run, shots, intermediate. Run, shots, intermediate. I think that they're going to lean heavy on the running game to start.
I agree, Ro. I mean, I think we see teams that have been explosive still be point-driven, but maybe fall back to being more of a run first. I think they do that in Tuscaloosa. Right, I mean, I think they're going to do that. They have a freshman, a new quarterback, and a new offensive coordinator, and a dominant offensive line.
They definitely doing that in Alabama.
Yeah,
they definitely
Florida.
doing that. Yeah, they definitely doing that. If you have the offensive line and you have the backs, and not granted, my personal opinion, I think that the quarterback at Alabama is a lot more talented.
Yes.
Just all the way around.
Sure.
So they're going to do some things with him that because. And it's the same thing we could do with Max, but the only difference is the arm talent.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So the arm talent, you could roll one way, throw it back across the field with this guy and all that thing. You're going to have a dominant running game. But that's why I think for us, we can lean on the running game early with these guys that we have, these different backs, and the offensive line that's come back, that's solidified. I think you can lean on them in play action, get the ball out your hands quick with all the receivers, with the plethora of young. And you also don't want to put too much on those young guys
for sure.
early on and bring them in. So I think we're going to be fine at that position. Running back, offensive lineman, it's the best in my opinion, over the last couple of years that I've seen. Even when Joe was here that year, I think this offensive line is comparable to that.
We're excited about football season, bro. I mean, we can announce this. We can do this. We can say what we got going on.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Get ready.
We are going to Ro and I are going to be working together in the fall. We're going to do 2 segments a week. A Monday segment or an early week segment, Monday or Tuesday segment.
Yep.
Then a Thursday or Friday segment where we'll review on Monday and Tuesday. Then we'll do a little preview on Thursday and Friday. Obviously, you know that Rohan has he's got kids that are now grown in college, one still in high school.
Yep.
But Micah is down playing linebacker at McNeese. So when the schedule allows us on a Saturday to do some post-game reaction, kind of a whiskey and wine type format, Rohan will be here with us, and we will be talking about the game in real time. We'll be interacting with everybody, and I can't tell you how fired up we are for it. We are looking forward to working together.
Boy, it's gonna be something.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. We're gonna be having a good time, especially now that we're the bosses. Right? So you can send all your complaints and criticisms right here
to the trash.
That's exactly right. It's great to see you, bro.
We'll have a trash bin.
Throw that one in the trash. We'll keep this one. We'll keep this one. We might smoke this one. Yeah, all right. Why not?
Rolling with Rohan.
Exactly.
7-on-7 is huge, bro. Tell me how this summer was for 7-on-7 and kind of now where you are. I mean, everybody I talk to in 7-on-7, they'd say you are kind of becoming the face of Louisiana. You probably don't like that, but it's probably just the influence that you have on these youngsters and how much respect they have for you, and probably because I've seen you, the love you put into it.
Yeah, I love them kids, man. Like, it's for me. It's and my partner Ken, Anio. Shout out to the best DB trainer in America, my dog. He brought me in on this thing, man. And actually, my son Michael was the one that was like, "Dad, I want to play 7-on-7." I was like, I don't know nothing about no 7-on-7.
Wow.
And then I got into it, and that's how it came about. But for me, it's the kids, man. It's working with like the Ricky Collins and the Walker Howards and the Mac Howards and the Moonies and the kids, and just to see them better. For me though, I like not the little kids. I like
the 2 and 3 stars.
Yeah. The ones that like I told you about Cam, guys that love the game, love the football, but people been overlooking them and not giving them they due and all that and all that. I like to work with them, and I love when those kids.
The Rohan Davies of the world.
Yeah.
I mean, really and truly.
That's what I like about it. But it's taking off, man. We getting ready to go into Lamar Dixon. It should be the beginning of next year. Right,
and that's y'all's home.
Yeah. Shout out to Kyle, man, down at Lamar Dixon and Miss Shelley. Yeah. So for us, it's the momentum has been real good throughout the season. We won 2 tournaments. We didn't get a chance to go to the last tournament because the thing that we want to do and respect is the high school coaches. We want to respect the high school coaches and not conflict with anything that they're doing. We want to be able to send the kids back to them better. You know what I mean? Whether it's polished receivers, polished skills, polished learning routes, knowing that the defensive end ties into the back and it's all interline. Just having them. We even try to reach out to the high school coaches, man, and was like, what is it that you – because some of them have bad taste in their mouth for 7-on-7. That's what I found out about it. So our approach was we don't want to do anything to combat what you're doing. If you're not taking a 3-step drop this way, I don't want to teach them that way. You know what I mean? If I don't want him to come back to you and he's doing what I done taught him, but now he can't play because he's in your system and his footwork is different and all that. So I always ask the coaches, especially with the quarterbacks, is there anything you want me to concentrate on with this guy for this and that? And you know what the biggest thing has been from the coaches? Yeah, we need to work on dropping back from center because no one does it anymore. Yeah. Everyone's in the shotgun. But eventually you're going to have to drop back from center at some point. So no one does it anymore. So that's the one thing that all the coaches have been saying, yeah, we need to work on it.
Do you think the attitude is from that they've been kind of snipped out of the recruiting process and now coaches are more talking to you guys, talking to the 7-on-7 coach, because you have I don't, and this is no disrespect on high school, but it seems like you guys have probably the better relationship.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely more personal, the relationship. And I don't know if we're together longer. We may be together longer.
But probably more one-on-one.
Definitely more one-on-one because it's not as many kids.
Yeah.
You know, we'll have, Daniel, Bill, Ricky, Mac, Mooney, Abram. So it's like 8 quarterbacks that's in our organization right now. That's not the 12s or the young kids.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's 8 bona fide guys that could do their thing. You know, so it's Tylen, which is a young quarterback at Madison Prep, very talented. So the future is bright, man. The future is bright for 7-on-7. I did a speaking engagement in Thibodeau over the weekend. 2 weekends ago. I was like 160 kids. And shit, we get F3 up in Thibodeau.
It's on.
Yeah, it's just another. We got a guy up in Shreveport. We're just trying to take over this whole thing, and then what we want to do is host our own tournaments across the South. We selected 11 regional spots, and then the culmination, which would be the Super Bowl of it all, will be at Lamar Dixon.
Wow.
Which at Lamar Dixon, we'll have the capability to play 22 games at one time, going on at one time.
Wow.
So it'll be one of the biggest 7-on-7 tournaments in the country. So that's where we're pushing to get to by February.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
It's cool to see you.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to the football season.
It's on. Y'all
Rohan
tune in,
Davey,
man. We in
a
here.
part of the Jordy Culotta show. He will be here twice a week breaking down football, what we see both NFL and college, and then immediately following LSU games on Saturday when the schedule allows.
Oh, you forgot something, though.
In high school football.
But we going to be there every
We're going
week.
to high school football games every Friday night. We're going to high school football games. We're going to have swag we're handing out. We're going to have cameras. We're going to, this week we're going to Madison Prep Woodlawn. Madison Prep Woodlawn.
It's going to be a movie.
Rohan Davey, newest member of the team. Have a great Tuesday. We'll be back with you Wednesday, 7 a.m.
That's going to be dope.
Yes, indeed.
I can't wait for that.